Tennessee football hit the practice field for the first time this spring. Who was out there? Who balled out? Some news, notes, observations. Spring practice number 1, a little bonus content Friday afternoon, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. Bonus show here on a Friday afternoon. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. You know it. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and we are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. Your team is the Tennessee Volunteers, and we're going to talk all about spring practice number 1 here over the course of the next 10-15 minutes or so. We could do this bonus show without our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It's over at FanDuel Sportsbook. So I didn't want to wait until Monday morning to kind of go back and rehash what happened at 8 in the morning on Friday. I thought I'd throw a little bonus show out there. Not the full length of a 30-minute show, but, you know, around 12 to 15 minutes or so. You guys know I'm long-winded, so I might even go longer than that. And right from the get-go, I'm going to tell you, I hope it's not like this moving forward through the rest of spring practice and certainly through fall camp. You know, we don't get to see an awful lot to begin with. Once the season starts, we don't get to see anything. But typically we get to go in there and we get periods 0 through 2, and you know, one of those periods is stretching and there's not a whole lot going on, but at least you get to sit there and take roll and see who's in, who's out, who's injured, all that and more. The way they did Friday morning, they kept us out, and then when they let us in, it was full go. They were in individual, and so it was pretty rampant trying to take roll. There was a lot of guys who were, you know, injured and not practicing, or, you know, coming off-season procedures, and I'll get to that here in a moment. So, you know, taking roll was kind of a deal, but, you know, the time limit on Friday morning was just not, it wasn't good. It was 7 to 8 minutes, and that's just not good. I will say we are going to get to watch 7 periods of practice on Monday, so appreciative of that, looking forward to that. But I am curious to see kind of how the viewing period is going to go the rest of spring practice, because if it was like it was today, boy, that is not good enough. That is just my opinion. Folks at UT going to watch this and roll their eyes and be mad at me, but that's just not good enough. But again, really thankful and appreciative for what's coming up on Monday. Looking forward to that. So what did I see? Not an awful lot. Wasn't out there for long. What did Josh Heupel have to say? We'll hear from Josh Heupel the back half of the show here. But nonetheless, I saw a team that was energized. I saw a team that was excited to be back out there. I think it's always kind of that first day of school feels. And, you know, for anybody that played football or you know, really any sport for that matter, that first official day of, you know, being out there, that's exciting. It's got kind of a cool vibe to it. And you're sloppy and you know, at points in times you're confused, but, you know, the energy level is high and you're running around just trying to make some plays. And they were out there, of course, not full pads, only helmets on. You have to have an acclimation period. But I saw the energy, and I thought the energy was really, really good here today for Tennessee in the morning. Obviously, there was a lot of players who did not take part in spring in practice today and will be limited or out the remainder of spring practice because for different reasons. You have cleanup procedures in the offseason. Any tiny nick and cranny, they're gonna keep you out to be, you know, cautious here in spring practice, because right now spring practice, it doesn't matter in terms of, you know, you don't want to hurt yourself moving forward for the fall. And that's when it, you know, really, really does matter. Injury report, just a couple of notables. There were several, and I didn't get all of them. Again, time was an issue. Jamal McCoy obviously was not out there. Jordan Thomas was not practicing. Those two guys were riding a stationary bike. Freshman Christian Gass, Jeremiah Hurd, Arian Carter, David Hobbs, Christian Charles were all in a red non-contact jersey. They were doing some light stretching while the team was going through individual work. Cole Harrison, Amari Jefferson were in red non-contact jerseys, but those guys went through individual. For a couple of different reps on the offensive line, Sham Umarov didn't have a helmet on, but I think he's fine. I think they were just fixing a buckle or something. Freshman linebackers Jaden Harmon and Jaden Perlotti were not full speed, so they're going to be limited. Had some cleanup procedures this offseason. So those are some of the notable guys that were not going full speed, essentially. I did see, you know, when I was over there watching routes on air, I thought Nico looked sharp for the most part. It was a typical first day, and the ball was on the ground some. I mean, the timing was off at points in times. There were some drops, but again, that is typical day one stuff. But I thought Nico looked pretty good, specifically with the outs and a couple of slants that looked really, really good. I saw Amari Jefferson make a couple nice plays, and Amari Jefferson has been taking snaps out of the slot. So that's something developing and something to watch out for. Tennessee's transfer portal addition from Alabama, wide receiver. Amari Jefferson's been playing a little bit in the slot. On the offensive line, it was Sam Pendleton, Tennessee's transfer addition get from Notre Dame. He was practicing right guard today. And again, that can always change, but he was practicing at guard. Of course, Wendell Moy Jr. from Arizona, the transfer portal addition, he was at the other guard. William Satterwhite was the first center up. Max Anderson was snapping the ball. True freshman early enrollee Nick Moore from Jefferson County. What up, Patriots? He was also practicing at center, so that's something of note. Wendell Moy, big dude. Didn't realize kind of how big he was until I saw him in person here this morning. David Sanders update. Hey, thought I'll watch him for a couple of minutes of the 7 minutes we were allotted. Footwork looked good. I think he's technically sound very well. He's, according to Josh Heupel, who we'll hear from here in a moment, he's already put on some weight. He looked good. He looked good. But again, everybody looks good in shorts. Would he look good in pads? And he's going to look good in pads too. Don't get me wrong. But from an overall technical standpoint and footwork standpoint, I thought David Sanders looked pretty well. He was working at right tackle here today with, of course, Lance Hurd over at left tackle. Ricky Gibson obviously was on the practice field. We know that if you're a member of VolQuest.com. Great deal going on right now, by the way, if you're a new member. $1 for 7 days. Go check it out. But if you're a member of VolQuest.com, you've known for a while, and I think I even said that on this show, that I think Ricky Gibson is going to work itself out. He's going to be at practice. So whenever the On3 National guy released it yesterday that the expectation is for him to remain with Tennessee and not enter the transfer portal, that's kind of been expected. And, we talked about it here on this show. But nonetheless, he was out there. He was practicing. That was good to see. He was obviously one of the guys we're going to have to look out for to make sure that he was there. Who else? Rodney Gardner was in midseason form, as you would obviously expect. Daune Morris, freshman running back, looks really good. Just a couple of pounds shy of 200. Physically looks good. I thought Ethan Davis, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, looked pretty good. Jack Van Dorselaer, freshman tight end. I mean, dude looks like an SEC player already. What else? That's pretty much it, guys. Again, we were not out there for long, so I do apologize. This practice report, is what it is. It's more or less, who was out there, who was not, and all that and more. But we'll find out more on Monday. We're going to get to watch 7 periods, so really, really looking forward to that. But those are some of the highlights I thought. Overall, good day. I thought Nico looked pretty sharp, and from the throws that I watched of Nico, he looked pretty good. And obviously, he needs a big spring, and we'll hear from Josh Heupel here in a moment about Nico. I do want to make mention real quick. I made a list of this over on the Journalist Quarters. Actually, it was in my practice observations at VolQuest.com. New kids on the block, freshman transfers, practicing with Tennessee this spring. Here are the jersey numbers that they will be in this spring. And, of course, they'll probably change heading into fall camp because Josh Heupel typically makes the freshmen wear crappy uniform numbers in the spring before allowing them to switch in fall camp, kind of a rite of passage. But George McIntyre, number 15, Sidney Walton, 26, Ty Redmond, 27, Justin Baker, 28, Juan Morris, 31, Star Thomas, transfer, 33. I hope he sticks in there. I love the double threes. Dylan, for a running back, Dylan Lewis, 34, Timothy Merritt, 35, Trey Poteet, 36. It's like go in succession. Jaden Lofton, 39, Jaden Perlotti, 41, Christian Gass, 46, Isaiah Campbell, 47, Jaden Harmon, 48, Marion Dye, 52, Brandon Ains, 55, Sam Pendleton, 56, David Sanders Jr., 70, Nick Moore, 74, Wendell Moy Jr., 75, Travis Smith, 80, Amari Jefferson, 81. I hope he changes that because, again, that's an old school wide receiver number, but wide receivers in the 80s in college I don't like because, again, that's old school NFL wide receiver numbers. Rodarius Jackson, 84, Dasan Brame, 88, Jack Van Dorselaer, 89, and Ethan Utley, 97. Of all the numbers, hopefully Ethan Utley gets away from number 97. Again, it's kind of a rite of passage. They wear crappy uniform numbers, or they just get issued a number in spring, and then in fall they can typically, find a better number, at least to their liking. Hey, when we come back, what did Josh Heupel have to say about spring practice day number 1? Who was he super impressed with? We've already mentioned his name several times, and a certain 5-star plus offensive tackle early enrollee. We'll hear what Josh Heupel has to say about David Sanders and so much more as we continue on here with this bonus show. It's a Friday afternoon, Locked On Vols. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on all of that than over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps me engaged every single moment, and it's more exciting, right? Whether I'm backing my team for that late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I've missed anything. Plus, the app is super easy to use, it's safe and secure, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No more waiting around. No, it goes straight to that account. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com to shoot your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So big shout out to FanDuel and a big shout out here to Nissan. We're all about the stats, because numbers, they don't lie. This is a sports podcast. We talk stats all the time. For the love of the game, we count everything in baseball, right? When it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP scale. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team. Plus the gear, well, where you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Again, one more time, that is nissanusa.com. Last couple of minutes of the show here. Again, an abbreviated show, a bonus show. Just kind of want to get something out there. Didn't want to wait till Monday morning to give you some of my thoughts and some of the highlights that I thought that came from Tennessee Spring Practice #1. Again, many more notes, many more observations coming on Tuesday's show, because Monday we get to watch 7 periods. That is awesome. It's all about Nico. Had a show titled It's All About Nico a couple of days ago. We talked to Boogie Bentley earlier today. We talked about Nico. I mean, you're the quarterback. You're the quarterback of the University of Tennessee. If you are going to have team success, your quarterback has got to hit. So it is a big spring for Nico Iamaleava, no doubt about it. What is Josh Heupel? What is he looking for out of Nico? What is he wanting to see out of Nico this spring over the course of the next month or so? Here's Josh Heupel.
Yeah, command and control of what we're doing offensively, better with his eyes, fundamental position to be accurate with the football, leadership. It's the checklist of playing the quarterback position. All of those things, he's got a chance to continue to get better at. Like a lot of what he did, there's some areas that that I was just talking about that he can be better at. And as a quarterback, a big part of your job is creating urgency for the 10 guys around you to play at a really high level too. That leadership role, it's not just verbally, it's how you're accelerating the mindset and the growth of the guys around you. So all of those things play into what he has been working on and what he's got to continue to throughout the course of the offseason.
Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel on quarterback Nico Iamaleava. I like how he said in there, it's kind of like a checklist. It's the quarterback checklist, and who would know better than the quarterback checklist than a former quarterback himself, national championship winning quarterback, Heisman runner-up, and Josh Heupel had a cup of coffee there in the National Football League. We know about we know about the back of the baseball card there for Josh Heupel. It's the quarterback checklist: command of the offense, footwork, eyes in the right place, pre-snap adjustments, leadership. I'm so glad he mentioned leadership because, again, you don't have to be the most outspoken guy, but you have got to be a leader if you are the quarterback of a football team. In college football, any football team, really. I mean, the quarterback by default is a leader. Now, what do you do with that platform? A lot of guys don't utilize it. A lot of guys lead in the wrong way. How is Nico leading this spring and trying to force himself to be more outspoken? Because, again, I don't think that's necessarily what he's all about, but you got to. And so I'm really glad that Josh Heupel mentioned leadership there. And of course, I'm glad that he mentioned a lot of good things that he did last year, because from an outsider's perspective, like if you're a fan of another SEC fan base or college football fan base, all you know about Nico is $8 million man, number 1 overall recruit, 5-star quarterback. You heard his name. You couldn't pronounce his name, but you heard his name for 3 years before he was the starting quarterback here at Tennessee. And you just look at the stats and you just say, oh, he's a bust. He's far from a bust. Again, conversation for another day. He did a lot of good things, but as we continue to say, there is another step here that he can take, and he's got to hit that. So that was Josh Heupel and Nico Iamaleava. What did Josh Heupel have to say about his another certain 5-star plus prospect? This one an offensive tackle, early enrollee, and in my opinion, the starting right tackle for the University of Tennessee. What did Josh Heupel have to say about David Sanders' first day? Here it is.
Man, super smart kid that very engaging, very personable. He's got a great family, cares about the guys around him. He's had great work habits since he arrived, continued to grow. There's a lot of growth for him and every young guy that's come onto our roster. He's put on weight. He's got to continue to do that, continue to grow into his frame, but it's got great athleticism.
Good work habits, cares about the guys around him. And again, that's one thing for the head coach to say that. You want to hear players say that as well. And over the course of, we're going to hear from David Sanders on Monday, so I'm really excited to hear from him. In my interactions, I don't cover recruiting as much as I used to, but he's been a really, really nice kid. But you often have questions about that with someone coming into high school coming into college with his pedigree and all that. That's good to hear. I also like that he already said he's been gaining some weight. And obviously, you guys know I've been beating that drum. He has got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. And he's going to be fine, but it's just so incredibly difficult for a true freshman to play at this stage. But he's going to play. He's going to play. Out the door, I want to mention this comment. Josh Heupel in his post-practice media availability did mention a lot of good things about George McIntyre. George McIntyre, Tennessee's freshman quarterback, signee class of 2025. From Brentwood Academy in the Mid-State. He spoke to the media for the first time as well, told the media that he's gained 9 pounds since being on campus. I tweeted that out, and I got a whole lot of funny replies. Someone said, so that's nothing. I put on 30. Someone said, living next door to Gus's Good Times Deli, did that in spades for me as well. Shout-outs, no free shout-outs. 40 more to go. 10,000 calories a day, young man. And someone said, whatever, I did that last weekend at the Golden Corral, and nobody made a big deal about that. Someone said him and Nico need to have a calorie eating contest. He has 6 more to go for the freshman 15. So some funny stuff there. I thought that was kind of interesting, but in all seriousness, good job by George McIntyre for putting on some weight. Good job for David Sanders for putting on some weight. Keep eating. And Nico continue to put on some weight as well. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This little surprise bonus content here on a Friday afternoon, reacting to spring practice day number 1 for Tennessee football. Back at it Monday morning. They'll practice 3 times next week. They'll have a pro day on Tuesday for those seniors and juniors who are going to the NFL draft, and then they'll be on spring break next week, and it'll be off, or the next week, and there'll be no football coverage for a week. But back at it on a Monday morning. We'll hear more from Josh Heupel. What did he have to say about Mike Matthews and the offseason he's had? And interesting thing he said about Mike Matthews and why maybe he wasn't as productive as we all thought that he would be as a first-year player. That's coming up on Monday's show. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. This is Locked On Vols.